good afternoon and welcome to the Knatters Knits podcast. My name's Natalie and I'm coming to you from the north of England on a fairly okay sort of day. It's Easter Sunday today and we've had some usual typical British weather. It's been sunny, then it's been chucking down with rain, then it's been sunny, but as you can probably see from the reflection in the background just here, it's quite windy, so the trees are blowing quite a bit as well. Hopefully I've cracked the lighting at last. The thing is, turn your seat round and look the other way. I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but anyway, welcome to the Knatters Knits podcast. You'll find me as Knatters Knits on Instagram, Twitter, Ravelry, Facebook, and LO, E-double-L-O. That's a new one and I'm just trying that out for the first time, so we'll see how that goes. But with all the who's and ha's about Instagram changing to not having a chronological feed anymore and all the discussions that are going on there, I thought I'd give LO a go and we'll see what happens. So how have you been? What sort of a week have you had? You're not going to believe the sort of week I'm going to tell you I've had. Work-wise, things have been, same old, same old. Not an awful lot to tell you really, but knitting, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I apologise from the light that keeps streaming in there. I'm not going to knock it and make it go away because it's not often you get sunshine like this. Oh, I might have to just pull the curtain a bit and see if that helps. Sorry about the artificial light, it is rather bright. Maybe that's a bit better. Everything's falling around me now. So, let's get on. What I'm going to do first of all is go through my finished objects, plural. Then I'm going to tell you about things that are on my needles, share with you a bit of stash enhancement, and then I've got a couple of things I'd like to talk through with you, see what you think and get your opinions. So first of all, we have not one, not two, but 3 finished objects. Yeah, I know from what you probably saw from last week, chances are you didn't think that was going to happen, but I'll explain all as I go along. So the first finished object I have is my shawl, the Albinetta triangular shawl, and there is going to be an Albinetta that's a different shape, so that's why it's called the Albinetta triangular shawl. It's by Yellow Malechek and she's on Ravelry as Yellow Malechek. The pattern has just been released today, in the last hour or so, so that's a hot off the press exclusive, and here it is. There we go. That's the bottom. This is made out of skein yarn from Australia. It's in the Outback colourway. I love the roses that are the first sort of pattern that you come to. Just here. I don't know if you can see those. Yeah, I think you can, just about. I do love those, they're really pretty. And this has just used, well, not quite a full skein. I've only got 2 repeats on there of the lace. I could have put more, and with hindsight perhaps I should have done. But that is that. It's just about my wingspan, and I have worn it. It's going to look a bit silly with a polo neck jumper, but I've been wearing it like this as a scarf to work, and I've got some really positive, lovely comments from it. So that's my first finished object. I think I might leave it actually, it looks rather nice, doesn't it? I'm really pleased. The second object I can't show you because I didn't take any photographs and I haven't got it anymore. It was a baby cardigan that I started, well actually I didn't start it, somebody else started it. It was for the granddaughter of a lady who recently passed away. She actually was the one who built the care home that I work in, and her daughter was expecting, but her granddaughter asked me to finish it. So that was the cardigan that I finished. But I've made another one. I started yesterday. Isn't it sweet? So very, very sweet. This yarn is, where's my ball band? Yeah. It's James C. Brett's Woodlander. It's double knitting. It is a mixture of wool and acrylic. It's 80% acrylic and 20% wool, and it's a James C. Brett pattern as well. This is obviously for my grandbaby to be born in June sometime, and hopefully his mum will like this. It's quite a variegated yarn. I'm just wondering actually whether it would make a nice cardigan for her as well, and they could have matching ones, because I think the bigger the area, more you'd notice, and you wouldn't have as much huge chunks of this, there'd be smaller chunks. But that's the baby cardigan. It is rather nice. I just happen to have these buttons in my button stash. Don't start me on the button stash. But that's that one. So that's 2 of these that I've finished this week. Dead easy pattern. I do love it. It's just so easy to do. The other one that I did had a little, not lace, but little holey sort of pattern. I don't know what you call that, but anyway, it was a holey pattern that went all the way through, and the backs and the sleeves. This one I've done just plain because obviously with grandbaby being a boy, I thought that would be better. So that's that one. So that's 3 finished objects. Okay. So the next thing is works in progress. Are you ready for this? Some of you may remember this yarn, which is the Sardar Wool Rich Aran. There's 100 grams in a ball. It's 60% wool, 40% acrylic. Again, I don't usually knit with a lot of acrylic, but this is for a work cardigan, and I wanted something that I could just shove in the wash and it not shrink too much. I started this a year ago, I discovered now. I started it so that when I started in this job I'd have something to wear in the office. I still haven't finished it, and I leave the job in 2 weeks. Never mind. I'm trying to make a concerted effort at the moment. There's a bit of green yarn in there. Where's that come from? To get a lot of projects finished, because I think I'm going to have a lot of time where I'm not going to be able to knit over the next few months. So here we go. That's this one. This cardigan is, she says, hiding. The Rustic Falling Leaves cardigan by Betty Balcom. Now, the original pattern has a lovely Rustic Falling Leaves pattern on the bottom half. Partway through knitting this, I changed my mind and decided that I wasn't going to actually put the Falling Leaves pattern in. Hence, you'll see there's a line here where I started putting it in and then I stopped again. And what I'm going to do with this bit is, because there are little holes all the way along, I'm going to thread some ribbon through, and to give it some waist shaping I'm just going to put some ribbon through. So it's coming along. I've done this much this week, which isn't bad for me, especially when you consider that I've finished the shawl, I've done the baby cardigans. I think I've been doing quite well, really. So that's this one, and I'm going to crack on with that again this evening. If the VK ends on, I'm going to go on to that and do that. So I'll put that one over there for now. Right. This is the second time I've started recording this, and each time I've said I'm going to try and slow down a bit because this is going a bit fast. But I'm at exactly the same point as I was last time. Never mind. So, next thing is a big thank you. A huge, huge, enormous thank you to Sarah. Sarah is Sarah Mellis from Sarah's Texture Crafts. sarahstexturecrafts.com is her website, and you can buy wonderful yarn and fibre. She's a dyer, she's a spinner, she's a designer, she's fantastic. And I have to go to Sarah. She's always been one of my, I don't want to say idols because that sounds a bit creepy, but somebody I've held in high regard, really. I was lucky enough to meet Sarah when I used to do the Exeter Craft for Crafters event, that I've done for quite a few years, but I haven't done for the last couple. Sarah was another stall holder there, and she's superb. A lot of the hand spun yarns that I sell come from her fibre, her colourways. She's got a beautiful eye for colour, and I love the stuff that she does. And the reason I'm giving her this plug isn't because she's asked me to, but it's because I want to say thank you. Now, she's watched the podcast apparently quite a few times. You're mad, Sarah, but thank you. And when she found out I was having grandbaby, as if I'm going to go through the labour again, she found out that Rachel was having grandbaby, and she has sent me a package. So that's my stash enhancement this week. Now, you've seen the green jumper, and this is the yarn. It's Woodlander double knitting by James C. Brett. And the colours are pretty true there, I think. It's 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and there's 250 metres in a ball. Well, she didn't just send me one or two balls. There's a jumper's quantity. And if that wasn't enough for me to say thank you for, she's also given me this. Now this is Sardar Escape. It's Woolrich TK, and again it's an acrylic wool mix. 51% wool and 49% acrylic. This, I'm not sure what's going to become of it yet. It's going to be for grandbaby again, because obviously she's given it to me for grandbaby. There's the ball band. And I'm not sure about whether I make a blanket, although I've got 3 or 4 blankets on the go for the baby. So maybe he's got enough blankets. I could quite see a little coat. Or maybe even, I know, I just found last night a onesie pattern. I think this would make a fantastic onesie, because there's a lot of different interest. There's the blues and the greens, there's the browns, and there's another colourway in there as well, somewhere. More purpley greys. So I think this might make a nice onesie. What do you think? There's a thought. So there's that as well, and there's a sweater's quantity of that. Sarah, thank you so much. I'm lost for words, I really am. Thank you very much for that. That's really great. I'm going to be a bit busy. Right, so that's all my works in progress that I've worked on this week, and my finished objects. But you know me, I don't just think about what I'm going to do there and then, I also think about things for the future. So I have, where has it gone? Signed up, so I'm just getting my notes, for the Spring Treat Cow. That's a knit along. All I know is it's a shawl. It's in 4-ply, which is fingering weight yarn. The first clue comes out on the 4th of April. The final clue comes out on the 25th of April. It's by Jenny Faithful, and she has the Sweater Freak Knits group. And so the knit along's going to take place there. I know I need 1,200 yards. Now the pattern or the sign up for this is $3.60, which when I signed up was equivalent to about £2.62, which isn't bad for a pattern, I don't think. So the yarn I've chosen for this, it'll be no surprise that I'm going to be using my Outback. See, it blends in with that so easily because it is the same yarn. But I've got it balled up, so I thought I may as well use it. And as you can see, I'm not very good at caking things up. So that's my main colour. And then my contrast colour, I decided to do black, just for a change, for something different. I've never knit in black before, and I can hear you all screaming at the screen going, no, don't do it. But I'm going to do it as a contrast because I think it will make the Outback colourway pop quite a bit. So that's this one. It's Reggio CFR haltbaar veervedig. It's superwash new wool, 25% nylon, machine wash, numbers show temperature. Okay, fair enough. So I've got 2 balls of that. Not convinced. I mean, not with the Reggio's fine. Just not convinced, but I think this should work quite well. Let's put the 2 together. See what you think. Maybe it'll be a bit too dark, but maybe it'll suit what I'm doing. I don't know. It depends on the pattern. Of course, that's the thing with a mystery knit along, isn't it? So we will see. So that is Jenny Faithful's Spring Treat Cal, which you can find on Ravelry. Excuse me. Oh dear, too much chocolate. The Lindt chocolate bunnies were very nice though. No, I didn't mean bunnies as in plural. I've only eaten, well, I haven't finished one yet, just the one though. Now I'm keeping this in my colourful creativity bag. And I should have mentioned the other bags, but I put them somewhere. Ah, here we are. My cardigan is sitting in my fondant fibre bag, which is there. What I like about Deb's bags from Fondant Fibre is they're white inside, so you can actually see what you're looking for. But also the detail is just so good. And look at the pattern on there. And then look at that. That's the zipper pull. Isn't that clever? So that's the Fondant Fibre bag for my cardigan. Right, so I've told you about that one. How are we doing for time? Still okay. So I've told you about my stash enhancement. I may have bought some more yarn. If I just swing this round, you might see that I don't actually need, let's move the knife out of the way, to buy any more yarn. Not one little bit. But you know how I have a thing for Miss Bab's yarn, and somebody in the UK was doing a destash. So I have bought a sweater's quantity of purple, my favourite colour. It's not a dark purple, it's, no, I don't think I've got anything I can show you. Anyway, so I've got that, so hopefully she's going to be posting that on Tuesday once the post's back to normal again. So I'll be doing that one. Now the discussion topic for this week, so I'm going to take this off now, put it down to there, is about the hows and whys of yarn buying and projects and all that sort of thing, really. I was surprised. I was having a chat with somebody at work the other day, and we were talking about, every time I go to work, she said, oh, what have you bought now? Where have you got? You know, and all the usual sorts of things, because she's a knitter as well. And I said, oh, well, I've got this from the States, I've bought that from the States, or I've got this from Europe, like my colourful creativity bag. And she said, what on earth possesses you? Why do you buy these things from abroad? Why don't you buy them in the UK? Trying to explain to her that if you want to have a variety of things, you can't always get it from the UK. Or, you know, it's an idea that's come from abroad, or it's a trendy thing, or whatever. Now she won't think twice about going and buying a piece of jewellery that she likes. You know, she'll buy it in Greece when she's on holiday or something. But she couldn't understand my ethos of buying things from abroad and then paying customs charges, although admittedly I think that's a little bit on my part for buying stuff and paying customs import taxes. But you know, that's the way it is, and you have to pay for it. I suppose it's partly because I live in a very rural area with no yarn shops. And if I go into the city, the two shops that I know, there's Hobbycraft, which, let's face it, has got the same old, and, you know, yes, there's a reasonable amount of choice, but there's no indie dyers, there's no, maybe a bit more wacky stuff, you know, it's just not quite the same. And the other one has got a very, very limited range. I do go to woolly shows like Woolfest, Yarndale, and obviously Crafters that I mentioned. But other than that, the only place in the UK I tend to buy from is, when I get my fibre, I get it from World of Wool, which is based in Yorkshire. I've just had a thought. My new job is in Yorkshire, and 3 of the homes are near World of Wool. Shh, don't tell my husband. I've already got enough fibre to last forever. Anyway, going back to what I was saying. So my fibre I get from World of Wool. If I want to buy British yarns, I will buy from John Arbon, because they have the mill. And I like John Arbon's stuff. It's really, really good. And I'm a member of the club, the Friends of the Mill, which gets me an extra little bit of a discount. But I haven't got access to, even to John Lewis. I've got to go travel for about an hour and a half. It takes me maybe an hour to get to 2 or 3 of the really decent yarn shops I know. There's a couple in Clitheroe actually. They're not far from each other. And then of course there's Sandra's Beckside Yarns, which is an amazing shop, which I think I've mentioned before on the podcast. But they are quite a distance. I've got one more place I need to try, and that is a fairly new shop, which has opened up in Blackpool. Sorry, sun's going out the front door. So that is called Vivian Westwood, and it's building up quite a good reputation. And they have a sock knitters Facebook group as well. So I ought to go over there, but again, it's still quite a journey. So I suppose that's really why I tend to buy things online. I'm very, very influenced, I've noticed, by Instagram. Some of my really impulsive purchases have come from Instagram. Like the yarn that I bought Ellie fairly recently, from Mothy and the Squid. Oh, that was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I know you didn't get to see it on the podcast, but I sent it straight on to Ellie. That was really, really nice. Either I need to move and be nearer, but I can't be doing with living in a town anymore. I like being in the countryside. I'm not sure. So how do you choose what yarns you're going to buy? Do you just buy on impulse when you go to a show or an event, like I do? Or do you plan your projects and then go looking for the yarn? How do you do it? Which way round do you do it? Usually, because I have got so much stash, I go looking and thinking, what can I make with that? I don't buy with an intention usually. When I first started out knitting, I'd buy yarn and the pattern together, like you do when you first start learning to knit. You know, you follow the rules and you stay on the straight and narrow. But as I've gained in confidence, especially as I've got, as you can see, so many books and patterns and things behind me, I've now got a choice, loads of choice. Of course, there's the internet and Ravelry as well. So now I tend to think, what can I make and what inspires me? So I might go and find a pattern first, or I might find the yarn first. And the one thing that I really do like is the Ravelry's pattern search. I don't know if you've tried it or not, but if you go into the advanced search, you can search by knitting or crochet. You can look by yarn type, whether it's 4-ply, lace weight, chunky, whatever. You can look for age appropriate patterns. If you want something explicit, I mean, why would you? But anyway, even if you wanted that, there's something there. You can look by item type. So if you know you want to make a shawl, you can look for shawls first. Or, you know, you can narrow the search down and say, right, well, okay, I know that I've got 10 balls of double knitting. What am I going to make with it? And then you can go in and put... You can even search by fibre type. So if you wanted to make 100% acrylic, you can see the things that have been made with 100% acrylic. If you wanted to do something in yak, cashmere and, I don't know, banana, then you can search for that. And I've started using that a lot more recently. Just because it makes sense, it saves time, it narrows down the searching. And I do really, really like that. The only problem is I keep finding all these patterns. Oh. But that's another story altogether. So how do you do it? Do you have wool first and then look for pattern? Do you have pattern then look for wool? Do you buy the two together and only ever knit with what they suggest? Or do you substitute and use that horrible word swatch? Interesting thoughts, interesting thoughts. I'm going to open a thread up on my Ravelry group, the Knatters Knits group, and I'd like you to actually go in there and have a chat about it if you wouldn't mind, because I'm intrigued about how other people think and work. I'm fascinated to find out how you actually do that, whether you do it specifically or you spend hours into the great big hole, suck hole that is the internet. And where do you get your patterns from? Do you buy them in wool shops? Do you get them from Ravelry? Do you go to somewhere like nitty.com, Pearl Soho, all the different places like Knit Picks? There's loads of places that you can get patterns from. So what do you do and how do you do it? Yeah, very interesting subject. Yeah, so we've got this that's going to be a onesie, and you saw how I did that. Looked at it, what can it be? Knew that I've got a pattern. Know it's DK, so that's the onesie. This one, I've done the jumper. I'm in the middle of making a hat, which I haven't shown you, but I will do next week. Just a little baby hat to go with the jumper, and I might make some booties to go with it as well. And then I might wait until he's a bit older and then make a bigger size. Although I've got another jumper I'd quite like to make him. Maybe I'll make it in 3 or 6 months to 12 months size. We'll see. So that's that. Facebook group, I'm still working on the likes. I'm still planning to do a draw for the 1000th member. Next week, it's the 27th of March today, so next week I will draw for the February and March finished objects in the thread. And then we're still thinking about VKN, a virtual knit night, using Google Hangouts. I'm still not settled yet on a day. I'm still thinking Wednesdays, but again, you know, have a chat with me on the boards and tell me what you think. And I'm still thinking about knit-alongs as well. I haven't made up my mind about those, about what we can do next. because I know there's a lot going on at the moment. I'm thinking about possibly when my pattern is released for the cowl, I might do a knit along with that. I know that there's a couple of people have already said they'd quite like to knit it, so we'll give that a go, I think. Other than that, I don't think I've got an awful lot to tell you this week, other than I'm stuffed full of chocolate. I'm probably, no, I'm not going to say that if I never see any again it will be too soon, because I'm not that full of chocolate. But I think that's about it for this week. So I hope you have a great week. I know I've got another busy one at work, especially as me winding down now, ready to leave. And I shall see you soon. Do drop me a line. I love to hear from you, either by private message on any of the social media or on the threads. I do visit there every day, so do come and have a chat. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye. And it's frozen and I can't switch it off. Hey ho.